Hello and welcome to Dada's. This is your show, a real-life women's experience talk show, and we come to you every Sunday at 5 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Karibu sana. Today we'll be talking about depression. Now, recently a daily ran a whole expose calling depression today's national disaster. And today, to begin to share this story, I want to welcome Charity. Charity, you're very welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
You're a real Dada. Now, you have suffered depression.
Yes, I have.
I think a year ago, and you're really recovering. I want us to go back to way before depression, in your happy days. You went to college and you studied. What did you study?
I studied business administration, specializing in accounting. And I've worked in an audit firm. I worked at H.W. Kishoi CPAs. And I worked in that audit firm for about 2 years. And then from then on, in around 2010, in June, I resigned from my job. And I went in to work with my father at his company, is a construction company, dealing with construction materials. So I worked in with him as a contractor and as a freelance keeper.
So you were doing well. I was just wanted to establish that you were doing well. Life was going well for you. You were on the up and up. You were, on top of your game. You were an auditor. You were working with your dad, and you were out and about. And you told me that you were hands-on. You're a very optimistic person. Tell me a bit how would you describe yourself?
Well, in layman's language, I would say I'm an outgoing person, and I'm more of a kind of person who just loves to be on outdoor settings. Yeah.
So you were out there, you were doing your thing.
Yes.
Okay, then things began to unravel. While you were out, I think, were you auditing or visiting a client, or I don't know what you were doing, you met a man.
Yes.
In every woman's story, some of them, it's always, I met a man. What happened?
Actually, I met my ex-husband through my dad. He was his client by then. So my father called me out in his workshop, and he asked me, could you kindly handle this client, because you're more specialized in outdoor work. So could you kindly handle this? So I walked in. I just walked out to the workshop and then met him outside. So he introduced himself, said, I need this kind of service. And I said, well, I can help you. Then from there, that's when now we started working together, and out of nowhere, things started raveling, and it became something more than just work and more onto love as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So you got married?
So I got married later.
Yes, you got married and you were living happily ever after.
Yes.
Outgoing, happy girl, working for your dad, married your dad's client. But things began to change.
Yes.
What began to happen?
Actually, after the death of my father, later on in around 2015, in the month of August, that's when things started changing.
Okay.
So
your father passed on.
My father passed
but
on.
You continued working.
But I continued working in his company.
Yeah. So Charity, when did you begin to realize that things are now beginning to shift in your marriage?
Well, I began seeing things changing in the home. I began seeing his change of character, his change of behavior, how he was actually, communicating to me, and he was always very abusive towards me, and always making noise, throwing things up and down, banging the doors and slamming things.
So he was a diva?
Yeah, he was. He
became a drama diva?
Yeah, he became a drama.
Okay.
Yeah, he became a drama.
Okay. So you had told me before that this really worked on your self-esteem, yeah? Something began to change and you began to become a little more
reserved.
Yeah. What happened? What happened emotionally? What began to happen to you?
Well, emotionally, I was not able to communicate. That's one thing I noticed. I was always keeping to myself. Always, I put myself like in this box that I can't be able to do anything. So I had this fear mentality. I don't want to approach people. I don't want to see anyone around me. I don't want to do anything. I just want to be left alone. So I started sulking bit by bit.
Okay.
Yes.
And you also shared with me that while you stopped working.
Yeah.
And now he took over.
And now he took over.
He was the worker, and now you
Yes.
became a housewife.
I became a housewife by force.
Okay.
Yes.
And what happened in the relationship? Some matrix changed. What changed?
Well, of course, everything changed from how we were working, definitely, because now I was not working, I'm at home. I'm now the first housewife, and compared to me being the contractor on board and working with in my father's company. And then at home, I'm seeing how I'm not able to relate well with my husband because he's just been extremely violent towards me. And in terms of marital life, there was so much abuse around myself. I mean, within me, I was also battling within me. And again, also, I was not able to be that kind of wife that you are to your husband, because now you're like, this guy, apana, this is way too much beyond myself. Yeah.
So you decided to pack and leave?
Yes, I decided to pack and leave.
That was very bold. So you went back home?
I went back home.
Okay.
Actually, the packing and leaving was more spunked up by my kids. My kids are the one who helped me pack and leave. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did he follow you? Did he come after you? What did he say?
Of course, he did try to come after me, but I was more like, I know I can't take this guy anymore. Okay. I can't take. So most of the time, I was either back in, I'm out, in, I'm out. So most of the times, I was either in and coming out. I mean, it was just in and out, in and out.
Drama.
It was drama all the time.
And it was only 1 year?
And it was only within 1 year.
Wow.
All within 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then when you went back home, you were different.
Yes,
what
I was
then?
different. When I went back home, I remember now my mom was the one who was taking care of me. But she was the one who was noticing my change of behavior. I was not talkative. I don't do things the way I love to do because I'm more of a freedom-oriented person. I love to do things by myself and independent. But I'm not doing that. I'm just staying within my room. And I'm locking myself in my room. And until one of my mom's friends who works at Mathare Mental Hospital actually dropped by one afternoon and noticed my change of behavior. And she's like, this is kind of what we have at our, at the hospital back where I am. So could you kindly take this young girl of yours to see a doctor as soon as possible before things get out of hand? And actually, I did not notice that I was actually going unwell. I was actually getting unwell, sorry.
You shared with me that for months you slept to the point where your mom woke you up, fed you.
Yes.
Even took you to the loo.
Yes.
Would just explain that. That is so shocking. How you basically became unwell, even physically.
Physically unwell. Actually, my energy levels were drained. I mean, drained to this level, to down. I mean, I could not be able to take care of myself. I was not able to, as I said, communication was a problem, because to communicate within 2 seconds or 10 minutes, I'm already flat. And then taking care of myself, I could not be able to take care of myself by dressing myself, feeding myself, bathing myself, everything. I was actually depending on my mom. And even my kids would also step in there. And so I had sleeping problems because I would sleep during the day and none at all at night. I would have communication problems in the sense that I was having a flawed speech. I would speak backwards. Like, where am I going? Going, I am where? And it was so hard and very difficult for me because, again, even I had issues with walking. I had issues with my neurotransmitters were not functioning well, were sending the wrong signals. So every time I want to do something, I can't be able to move something until I rely on a caregiver to actually help me get myself on my feet. Yeah.
You sound like a person who should have been in hospital.
Yes.
Why were you still at home? At what point? What was your mother? I mean, what were people thinking? If you can't get out of bed, you can't walk, you can't talk, you can't hold things, you
can't do anything.
You should be in a hospice.
Yes.
How was it? Were you feeling pain? Were you in pain of any sort?
Well, at that point, I was not in pain because I remember very well that day when the following day my mom took me to hospital. So we were walking along town around just about Ronald Ngala Street. And I was seeing my mom, she's walking ahead of me and I'm behind her. And I was watching her where she's taking me, because at the back of my mind, I knew my mom is actually going to drop me or leave me abandoned in town. So we get to the hospital, and here I am, I'm seeing other patients around, and I'm noticing I'm actually in a mental hospital. And within myself, I began to pray, God, I don't want to be an inpatient. Just work out a miracle for me. So by the time I got to the doctor's office, and she did all the observations and asking me questions, and I'm not answering her well, I'm answering wrongly. And then she said, by the way, your daughter actually, let's handle her as an outpatient. I will take care of her from home and not from here.
So within you, you were still there, buried somewhere.
Still buried within myself.
There. And the alarm bell within you, the hope or the alarm bell went off when you realized you are now in a mental hospital.
Yes.
You are going to be locked up with mad people.
Yes.
So suddenly something inside you began to say, I have to wake up. I have to,
yeah.
Otherwise I'm going to die in hospital or
going to
something like
lose
that.
it.
So you went back home. What were you given? Tablets or what were you given?
I was given a whole stack of medicine. Like, oh my God, it will fill this entire table. Because, psychotic drugs are very expensive. And every week would have to spend between 3,000, 5,000, and it's just 1 week dose. And I have to depend on it for months. Because even a whole dose for 1 month would cost around 15 to 20,000 shillings.
What was diagnosed at Madare? What did they say was wrong with you?
They say that I have a bipolar mental disorder. So it's more sparked by environmental factors. The environmental factors were now where I am in my marriage. It's causing the drama. So people who are actually abusive towards me, it would spark in me now that depression and mental disorder to erupt by itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So environmental factors are the ones that are causing me, and not genetics.
Okay. So you had always carried the bipolar.
Yeah.
Really, sort of, you had coped with the bipolar.
Yeah, I'd coped with
but
the
because
bipolar.
of your father's death and because of all the failed marriage and everything that was going on, you kind of went into a state of a coma.
A coma.
You decided you couldn't deal with the story. You've had enough. You numbed out. You just decided, kwaheri, I'm going to sleep until one day I'll wake up on the other side.
On the other side, yeah.
When you were in that state, what were you thinking? Were you ever thinking? Did you ever feel yourself thinking?
Actually, at that state, I was totally blank. I would not be able to know anything because I'd forgotten myself. I had memory loss. And the time that my kids were reminding, Mommy, you're our mom. I'm like, no, I don't know you guys. So, at that time, I would not be able to think of anything. But the only thing I was able to learn from my mom was actually just depending on God. And she just put a Bible next to me, and that's the only thing I could read. So I had to teach myself how to read because I'd forgotten everything about learning.
Wow. How long was that episode? How long?
It was 2 years. It was 2 years.
2 years.
2 years bedridden.
Oh my word. Okay. So you began to take your medicine. What else began to happen? Did you see a counselor? How did you get back? Because I don't think the drugs are enough to get you back. No. What happened? How did you get back?
From the medication point of view, I was still seeing my psychiatrist, but I had seen quite a number. I had like 3, 4. I'm being taken from this doctor to this doctor to this one. Until finally, one of my friends where I was doing my postgraduate studies at KAG University, one of those ladies is the one I happened to interact with, and I was explaining to her my situation. She's the one who introduced me to Women Arise Network. Okay. So through Women Arise Network, I met Perpetua. So Perpetua is the one who was counseling me and encouraging me and helping me to get my feet back on track, alongside with my mom and her friends as well.
Okay. Yeah. So you had a whole concerted effort of people
rallying around me,
literally pushing you to get out of depression. Literally.
Yes.
How long did it? So you said you were bedridden for 2 years. How long did it take for you now to begin to see something happening so that you were coming out of the depression?
I joined in Women Arise in 2017 around July. So I had 2 sessions with her in July and I think the November-December session. But come in in November. In November, when I went in for the second session, I realized that I'm not being too emotional. I'm not being, in that Pandora's box. I'm outside the box, and I'm able to communicate.
At least now you can.
At least now I can.
You've dissociated yourself from the situation.
Yes, I disassociated myself from it.
See it's there and
It's
you're
there,
here.
and I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before that, you were inside.
Before that, I was inside. I was smashed in it, and it was crazy.
Okay.
It was crazy.
Okay. Looking back now, what could you have done differently? When you think back now, when you think back about everything that happened to you, was there a point at which you could have said, wait a minute, I'm not feeling well? Do you think of anything like that?
When I take my mind back, I would say this in the sense that I wish I had the information I got from Perpetua, because I would have picked up the signs that I noticed early enough. When my husband was mistreating me, my husband was abusing me, doing all these nasty things on me, I would have picked up from there, and I would have made a decision that this is not what I want, and I'm way above this, because I always see myself as a flower that can bloom in a man's world, and here I am. This is someone who's actually dominating my potential, and at that point, I wish I had this information. I would have spun out of that setup that was really draining me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think for me, my big question is when you went back home. Because I think you walked away from the drama, but you went back home. Why did you sink into a depression? What spiraled the depression at that point? Because why didn't you just bounce back like pop, out of the marriage? I'm out and about, and
Yes.
I'm back to my job and whatever. Why do you think that didn't happen to you?
Well, it mainly did not happen to me because of the many voices that were rallying around me. Because you see now there's a church that was involved, and everyone else was attacking me. You're the one who's failed your marriage. You're the one who's done all this. You're not supposed to do this, and you have done something wrong to your spouse. And I'm like, I haven't done anything wrong. So now everyone else who knew me were actually speaking against me and not for me, and they were not understanding me well. So that in itself really caused me to sink into depression. And if it were not only for my mom, actually I don't know where I would have been, because she's the one who really encouraged me and lifted up my spirits, because she's the one who knew me well other than anybody else in my family, including my father, because she knew my potential was way above this madness I was revolving around. So back then, I wish I wish I'd be able to say no to circumstances that were really coming towards me and not drain me.
How did your children cope? Because it's been a while, eh? 2 years, another 2 years?
2 years.
So it's been 4 years.
It's been 4 years.
How have your children coped in that time?
In that time, it was not easy. It was not easy because for my children, there was so much attached to me, and I got married with them. And for them, it really, it made even their behavioral patterns change, because they're becoming a bit rebellious. And in terms of the academics, everything else was sinking down. So to them, everything was sinking down. And even to the extent that even when they would see my spouse, they would really run away from him, like, Mom, we don't want to be associated with this dad anymore. So this thing is really taking a toll on my kids. And I had to step up. I had to force myself, even when things were not working against me. Within me, I had to encourage myself. I'm here for my kids, and I have to do something about it. And I have to do very early before things get out of hand. Because I didn't want to raise kids that were nasty in the future.
Okay. Today, looking back, because now you are not a survivor, you're actually a thriver. What would you tell somebody who says, depression is just, it's not a big deal, just snap out of it, everybody, because that's in our African culture, we tell people, we're ngangana, are you the first woman not to have a failed marriage? Failed marriages are everywhere, just cope. What should you tell somebody like that?
I would tell them, you're the one who knows what you're going through, and you're the wearer of the shoe. And the wearer of the shoe knows where it pinches you most. So until you're the one who speaks for yourself, anyone else will not be able to believe you. Because most of the people around me were always telling me, you're feigning sickness. Because even my own family was saying, I'm pretending. My own husband said, I'm also pretending. So this sickness is more of a pretentious disease than an illness that is really stigmatizing and discriminative on that aspect, because you also face discrimination as well. But for anyone who's going through it, you just need to communicate and find someone who can be able to understand you. Actually, the way to get out of it is getting someone who will be able to listen to you and understand what you're going through, other than those who do not understand you. Because those who do not understand you have the right to keep them away from your life. Because you don't need them. You need those that are able to take you, back to the way you are, other than where you are, that was causing all this pain and trauma to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charity, for opening up the world of depression to us, because many of us laugh about depression and we think it's funny, but you've made us realize that depression can become a real disease that can put you out for 2 years. When we come back, we'll be talking to Perpetua, the founder of Woman Arise. She's worked with Charity and has done an amazing job, has been one of your cheerleaders and the people who've gotten Charity out of a depression. So go get yourself a hot cup of tea. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Dadas. Today we're talking about depression, Kenya's newest national disaster. We're joined by Perpetua, founder of Woman Arise. Yes. And of course, thank you, Charity. Charity has been with us.
Thank you.
So, Paps, what is depression? Because we laugh about it. We say, niko na depression. What is that?
In layman's term, I'll just define depression as severe sadness. Sadness that is out of control.
Okay. Are there levels?
Actually,
how do you know you are severely sad? Because from what Charity described, it's actually a slippery slope.
Yes.
You don't know you are severely sad, but I think the sadness comes pole, paka you find now you are very sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will first of all start by saying everybody gets depressed every now and then. Everyone has a predisposition to depression. And when you think about it, is first of all, depression starts on this low level. Like sometimes we usually say, I am bored. Yeah, actually you're headed to depression.
Really?
Yeah, because bored is now the mildest of sad. It's a very low level of sad. Sometimes you're not even sure you are sad when you say you are bored. But it's because probably I have nothing to do, so I'm sad. That is bored. And then when you don't attend to sadness, not to that boredom, it keeps on escalating. Every emotion that is negative started at a very low level, and then it was not attended to. It kept on escalating. And let me say, when you have that very mild depression, a good conversation with a close friend will actually resolve it. Or sometimes even a rigorous physical activity. People who go to gym in the morning, or a jog, or Zumba, or whatever it is. Just a rigorous physical. Even cleaning. That is how our mothers used to cope with stress.
I know. They coped by scrubbing.
Yeah, you scrub. You go and pick firewood. You just do stuff. A rigorous physical activity will actually knock you out of this very mild depression. And then let's assume you brood over it. You don't do anything about it. You don't even address what is bothering you. It escalates to the next level, which we call now the severe depression. And severe depression is when now you're starting to realize it's affecting your concentration, affecting your diet, affecting your sleep patterns. It's starting now to get on your way. You're even feeling, I just want to be alone, or you're feeling, I always want to be out there. I want to party throughout. I want to escape from this reality. That is now severe depression. And that one, you need psychological help. You actually need to see a psychologist, or just see a mentor or someone who can help you process what you're going through in a more constructive way. Because a friend will just chat with you and buy you coffee and tell you pole, or give you an advice that doesn't work. And so you need to see a counselor. And then now, you don't attend to that as well, the severe depression. You now go to acute depression.
Was that where she was?
Yeah, now that is where Charity was, because it affects your activities of daily living.
Okay.
You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't dress up, you can't get out of bed. Now that is acute depression, and that one requires now the psychotic help, the one she was going through of psychiatrist, because now your coordination is totally off. Actually, when you get to the acute depression, you can even lose your coherence. You can lose your speech. You can even go crazy. Like sometimes talking to yourself and collecting a few papers. That is when you realize this person didn't even shower for a month. Those people are even stubborn. You can't shower them. They are not eating at all. Or sometimes their eating is out of control. They can even eat 10 kgs of food a day.
So the people we see on the road collecting papers and we wonder what happened. It could have begun as a...
Yeah, some of them it was actually a sadness that was not addressed. It kept on going on. And of course now there are other factors that contribute to getting to acute depression, because sometimes when you discover you are depressed, how you try to cope with can actually escalate it faster. Sometimes drug and substance abuse, that probably you start taking bangi, you start over drinking and probably even drinking, what will you say, the stronger drinks. Like kumi, those brewed, this illicit brew, you're now taking those ones. They can actually escalate it to that. And of course, the other thing also, self-talk. What you tell yourself about your situation. That is where sometimes even factors like poor self-esteem, sometimes personality can also be a predisposition, that this person is more predisposed to get depressed more than this one, because probably they're an introvert, so they don't talk a lot. And also they overthink about their situation. They keep on processing it, but they always feel helpless and overwhelmed. And then they start having a victim mentality. I am in this space and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm helpless. And then now that can actually escalate to acute depression faster.
Charity, do you hear any of these things that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, actually, I do ring a bell with what she's saying, and especially when I used to have sleeping problems, eating problems, communication. So most of those things she's actually talking of is true. Okay. Yeah, and it really happened to me so much because I was not able to take care of myself. So I was fully dependent on my mom to help me take care of myself. Yes.
One of the things I've noticed about women is we don't know how to, and Charity said it, we don't know how to vocalize our anger. Or, like she said, somebody is being very nasty towards you, but you don't know how to communicate. Yeah. So what we do is we invert the anger. Could that be one of the reasons why a lot of women are actually depressed today? Yes. You'll find many of them drinking, doing very crazy things, going on wild binges. Could it be, does it have something to do with that?
I will say yes. First of all, because when you are depressed, what you do, probably even when it is on the severe level or the mild level, contributes a lot to how sooner you knock out of it. The other factor that contributes to that, to the intensity of depression, is also the severity of the situation you've gone through. Like Charity, where there is mental abuse, there is physical abuse, there is emotional abuse,
financial
abuse, there is spiritual abuse, because when you go to the pastor and he tells you, suck it in, you need to be a good wife, Proverbs 31, then you are stuck. Because you are also that is also spiritual abuse, because you didn't address my situation. You're just beating me on the head with the Bible. Okay. But it was not resolved. Now, that one can also contribute to the severity of the depression. Okay. Yeah, how it is handled and how it is addressed. Because many times when people are depressed, like Charity was saying, first of all, you're faulted. It's your fault. You should get your act together. Suck it in. Enda uombe. Go for deliverance. Yeah. There's something wrong with you. You're taking this thing too far. Just respect your husband. This thing will go away. And when you trivialize, you actually escalate it, because when this person starts feeling helpless about their situation and they don't have a support system because everybody is thinking it's up to you, then you escalate depression. Because now I get to the acute faster, because I can't even eat and drink anymore because I'm a bad person. I should not even eat. I should not even get out of bed. I'm not a nice person. The world doesn't need me. And of course, the extreme of depression is suicide. That is how people also escape depression. Yes. And now that is when this person has come to a place where they feel like that is a better escape. That is a better route to life. Yeah, if there's maybe to the life after.
Charity, did you ever consider suicide as an option?
Yes, I did.
You did.
I did try that. I did try suicide several times.
You tried it?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I did try it as a means of escape from all this cycle that was happening towards me.
So you tell yourself, I'm better off dead.
Yeah, I'm better off dead.
My children are probably better off dead. My family is better off dead than being here. How do you know somebody is depressed, Perpetua? Because sometimes we are living in a world where somebody, like even her mom had lived with her for 2 years.
Imagine.
And she did not know she was depressed. It took somebody to come and say, this is not normal. How do we know this is not normal?
Yeah. Actually, in my opinion, every time someone is sad, there's how they communicate, verbals and nonverbal cues. Just listen. Listen to what they are saying and complaining about every now and then. The other thing, also listen to their behavior, because they are acting up. Why are you drinking in my house? Why are you nowadays withdrawn? Why do you lock yourself up when you come home in the bedroom? Because everyone has communicated about depression before it actually got out of hand. It's because they were ignored or they were trivialized. So never trivialize other people's emotions. Even if you don't feel them, that is why I'm always a champion of empathy. Please empathize. You may not even think whatever they're going through is a big deal, but it is to them. Just the way a child comes and they're complaining about a cockroach as if it is a gun, that is valid to them. Validate people's pain. Validate what they are going through. Listen to them. Have empathy, and just validate their pain. That one can actually make them feel better. Okay. Because maybe even Charity's mom, I'm not sure, but probably she did not realize whatever the daughter is going through is a bit severe. And of course, now when it is also happening in the marital space, be a safe space for people. Don't always tell them to go back and vumilia. Yeah, sometimes someone just needs a break to even think through their thoughts.
Yeah, I know.
Be that safe space and, just accommodate them. Just be there for them. I mean, even just give them a bed to sleep.
It's true.
Sometimes people need to just check out of their life for a while, even to get their own answers. Sometimes they don't even need your help and your nice advice. They just need a space where they can change environment and just think through their life. And sometimes that is all they need. Do you have a spare bedroom? Let them come and sleep there even throughout the day, if that is how they will be able to cope with it. Can you pay a holiday for someone? Please just think, what can you do? And when you realize someone is going through depression, like I said, when it is very mild, you can actually have just a good conversation. Don't blame them. Don't make them feel guilty. Don't spiritualize it.
Yes.
Don't demonize it. Just listen to them and listen to their humanness. Identify with their struggles. Oh, he did that to you. Yeah, that is not nice. What do you think I can do to help you? And one of the things I usually say when you're listening to someone, one of the things that I usually think you should not just do is to ask them why. Because why makes them defensive, but it makes them to feel the need to explain themselves and defend themselves because they feel attacked.
Okay.
You can say, what makes you feel like he's abusive? What makes you feel like he's cheating on you? What makes you feel? What makes you feel? Or use all the others, when, why, which. No, when, which, how. But why? Why? You actually make them start also doubting themselves.
Okay.
And of course, the other thing that I always encourage is also to just sometimes pray for people.
Perhaps let me ask you, what happened to the women network?
Yeah,
when I was growing up,
Yeah.
the women would come and put flasks of tea,
Yes.
okay, now my mom, and they would talk the whole day. They would put their problems on the table, and mainly it was about their horrible husbands.
Yes.
And they would live in a very lively mood and go back to their horrible situations.
Yes.
And they did not get depressed. Well, maybe they were depressed, I just didn't know.
Yes.
But they never got to the point where, for example, Charity got. What happened to the women networks that we had?
First of all, women are busy.
Yes.
Everyone got themselves a job.
Okay.
And then also we have the social reel. I want to look like I have it together, Mi sina mashida kama nyinyi. And so trying to put that face also makes us live a lie. Those women were honest about their situations. Hey, mi nilitandikwa jana. They will not even fear confessing such things to each other. Because we are peers. Hata kama hujachapwa, probably there's something else not happening for you. But we are living in a place where we want to only put our best foot forward.
I know our Facebook,
I know,
whatever,
the social reel, the Instagram,
and everything is
yeah,
perfect.
and then we are wondering, last week it was a couple goals, today she's murdered, what happened, because probably through all this problem you're trying to cover up. Like a friend who was telling me the sister was going through separation. But every time when she goes online, she will see a photo with my husband, and she's really in an abusive marriage because of the social real problem. And of course, the other thing that is also happening is that women are also starting to look for solutions. It was not just the happy conversation or the Wangeshi conversation that we used to have, and then everybody goes back to fight their battles. Women want to see change at home. So even if we are talking, we are thinking of solutions. And gone are the days where people used to think that I have to stick it in here. Because those women were talking from the mindset, nobody is leaving. All of us, we are staying. We are staying for the children. We are staying because this man will not. Atakiwa bibi watano, I'm still the first wife. But we are also living in the age where there is also HIV and AIDS. And also the fact that nowadays you also have men who are also not providing. So sometimes you actually realize you are in an abusive in multiple ways. He's abusing me financially, he's abusing me emotionally, he's abusing me. Those times it was okay even for someone not to be romantic But nowadays, I mean, we got married, you are this nice person, then you changed.
So
Those
women
times
want
marriage was
more.
just...
Are you saying that
Oh, yeah.
today women
Oh,
want
yeah.
more?
They want
are
more,
not
they
ready to
expect
take-
more.
They expect more. They're not ready to take, let's just humilia together.
I just think women are looking for life in abundance, because that is also God's promise.
Yeah.
He came that you may have life and have it more abundantly.
Yeah.
In the past, you just survive with whatever you got, because probably you guys were even hooked up.
Yeah.
You know, it's your mother and his mother who decided you guys are good together. But nowadays, you chose me, we dated, you are a nice guy, and then all of a sudden you've changed. I don't understand, and I can't accept this. And of course, in this age of femicide, that is actually a hot conversation to keep on having.
Yeah.
That when you're depressed, it's not okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you counsel women about depression,
Yes.
what are some of the things you tell them? For example, Charity. She's predisposed because of her gene to depression. What advice did you give her? How to stay out of depression? How do you stay out of it?
When you come to Woman Arise, the first session, the first things first, be in charge of your life. Be in charge of your life. And actually, we look at purpose. Why are you here? Because even being married is one of the things. It's not the only thing. You know, what other gifts do you have? What is God calling you to do? Those are actually the conversations we explore. Because when you stop looking at this as all there is in my life, and you start realizing I have so many other things. We even have women in our program who came in, and she was in almost exactly the same situation. And then when she started discovering her purpose and started working on pursuing her dreams, her marriage shaped in. Actually, when she came, she told me, perhaps I want to do Hadassah Wives, but I don't want to be married. Like, hata nikikuja hapa, don't try to talk me into staying. I'm leaving. But when they come and they start looking at what else do I have within me? What are my internal resources? And they start exploring them and building their lives. And they start feeling like a victim, and they realize I'm actually in charge. I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my destiny, my ultimate. You know, if I choose to commit suicide, it was still my responsibility. I cannot blame anyone for it. We actually come to a place of where there is no blame game.
Okay.
Just take responsibility of your life, take charge of your life, and see what you can do. You cannot change the other person. You cannot fix the dysfunctional people in your life, but you can fix yourself.
Okay.
Because you don't have to be dysfunctional. And one of the women we look at is actually Abigail.
Okay.
She's able to still be whole,
Yeah.
even when she's in a difficult marriage.
Okay.
And so now having this conversation, especially for married women, it's very, very helpful. And even for Charity to be able to realize, by the way, it was not wrong to leave. That was a very extremely abusive marriage. And there's nothing I can do to change him. But I can keep on changing myself and taking charge of my happiness.
So
and taking
first
charge of my
things first,
kids.
take charge of your...
Take charge of your life.
Okay. How do you teach them how to talk to themselves?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think sometimes women have got very bad self-talk. We tell ourselves very, very bad things about ourselves. How do we change the talk? Because I think, this is just me, I have no idea, but
Oh, yeah.
maybe you tell me. I think men wake up in the morning and they go like, wow, it's a new day, let me go and conquer the world.
Yes.
And women wake up and they say, oh my gosh, I have a pimple on my
Pimple.
face.
I'm fat
I'm fat.
and
Look at
ugly.
how I'm fat now. Even my stomach has become fatter. I'm not fitting in this dress. Oh my gosh, I hate my job. And over time, you find that the self-worth of the woman is just, declining.
Diminishing,
Yeah. Have you, what kind of talk should women have?
Okay.
What should we tell ourselves?
Yeah. Let me just run you through the process we have that Charity went through. So number one, we have done potential and purpose. And then number two, we do emotional detox. You need to identify the places of pain in your life, to know where it started, when it came in, and also what you can do about it. Because you also need to take responsibility for that space to fix it, and also to not let your pain become your identity.
Yes.
You know, this is what I've gone through, but this is not me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes that's what we say, we tell ourselves.
Yeah, it
Have you
becomes
ever
a
heard
label.
how we introduce ourselves? I am Pauline and I am a divorcee.
No,
I am
no.
Pauline and I am a single mom. Because that's
Yeah.
how you see yourself.
And of course, when you see yourself that way, when I say that about myself, the people who are there also perceive me that way. And actually, when you're looking at after we look at, we go through the emotional detox, we also do self-concept. Strip yourself of all the titles and all the responsibilities in your life, the roles, I'm a mother, I'm a what. Who are you? For a woman to be able to define that space so that whenever they go through winter, through summer, through all the seasons of their life, because one of the things we usually say, just having this conversation on depression, is that we all have 25% of winter in our lives, bad days. And when it exceeds 25%, you need to get help, because that is still a concept. Those 4 seasons come in quarterly. And so even in a day, I'm allowed to have 25% of a bad day. But when I have 100% bad today, tomorrow, the day after, something is wrong. Just halt and check yourself out. And then, of course, after we do the self-concept, you also do emotional intelligence. How do you learn to take charge of your emotional space? And that is why we now explore all these emotions and intensities. And to be able to see that you need to build your self-awareness and also your social awareness in terms of taking charge of your environment. And then finally, we also do a retreat so that people can go and explore their wounds and heal, and we're able to just rub it in nicely.
Wow, it sounds nice. Is this program national, Kenya, in Kenya?
Yeah, it's actually Kenyan because I have created it, you know, through my experience with women, mentoring women. And also, when we started this conversation, it is for the children. Because when women are going to look at now charity situation, the children get affected. And what happens is that when these children are not attended to, even by a functional woman, they also become a dysfunctional generation. We are complaining about the men who are hacking women and who are killing women. Those men were raised in homes. And probably they were raised by a wounded woman who passed on the wounds. And then they became dysfunctional men, and also dysfunctional women that are dating these men and driving them crazy and nuts by even cheating on them. So we end up raising dysfunctional children, and then those dysfunctional children become dysfunctional adults. They raise another generation of dysfunctional women. So until we have this conversation, that is how Woman Arise was born. Our concern was for the child, but we realize when you call meetings like in schools and churches, who comes? Mothers. Fathers are busy. And so Woman Arise, if you are whole, you can still raise whole children, regardless of what is happening in your space. Yeah.
I think finally for me, my thought about depression is, this is it's now become a big thing. It's a big deal. Because I think times are tough.
Yes.
Times are really tough. And I think when times are tough, women and children are the ones who bear the brunt of the hard life. Men seem to have a way of checking out. So, you know, you are parting short about depression. What would you like to tell people? I
would want to say, if you're depressed, just remember that everyone is battling their own situation. Yeah, everybody is struggling with depression here and there. And the other thing I will say is that don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Please cry rivers if you can. To just even allow yourself to get into that space of, this is my reality. And then also, just take off from everything. I mean, if today you are dead, all those things you're trying to hold together will not matter.
That is so true.
So quit life. You know, just quit. Go. You can even leave your children with a relative. Just go. Don't keep on telling yourself, my children need me. They don't need a dysfunctional mom or dad. That's true. Just go away and go and work and heal yourself. And the other thing also, when you battling depression, is also to realize it's not the end of the world. It's a season. I said it's 25%, so everybody has their 25. Don't allow your 25 to become 100 that you are living with every day. Just deal with it and go and get help also. Don't just sit there and allow self-pity to just overwhelm you until you come to the suicide place. Go and get help. Go and talk to someone. Go and get professional help. And one of the places I love referring people is NPC, because they have free professional therapists there at Valley Road. Just go there and see a therapist so that you stop seeing yourself as always in the situation. See yourself also as someone who is in charge of that situation so that you're able to get out. And of course, the other place also, learn to realize that there is God who can help you out of it.
Thank you. Celine? Sorry. Charity?
Thank you very much. Actually, for me, my part in short would be as an overcomer of depression, kindly seek for help. Don't keep quiet. Because one of the things that really dragged me down the drain was just sulking and keeping quiet. But I wish I spoke early enough. And anything that you notice, please air your voice. And air to the voice of people who will be able to listen to you and not misunderstand you. Because there are those who misunderstand you and there are those who will understand you. So find a collective people around you, or probably somewhere else, who can be able to hear your voice, your concerns, and what you're battling in, and also echo out to them and tell them, please, this is what I'm going through. Can I get help? And how can I get help? Help comes from starting from within yourself and reaching out to the other party. And don't walk alone. Please don't walk alone. Thank you.
Dada, asanteni sana. For those of you at home, there you've had it. I always say, I am like you. I sit in this show and I am mesmerized at the ladies who come here. Thank you, Charity. Thank you, Paps. And have a great week. See you next Sunday. Baraka.